Greetings. Here I would like to refute two more commonly asserted claims against indefinite longevity, especially against the kind of longevity that would reverse the biological aging or senescence process and essentially keep us humans young for as long as we can be. So, one of the arguments is that getting biologically more senesced, getting older, is actually a great thing. It's a dignified state, it's a noble state, it's nothing to combat. And to that claim, I have to answer the following. There is common throughout human societies a certain respect for older people. Now, we have to ask, why does this respect exist? Is it because of superficial characteristics, like they have gray hair, they have wrinkled skin, they're not as physically able as younger people? Surely not. Surely that's not why many people in most societies have respected their elders. The reason why many people have respected their elders is because their elders had accumulated a store of life experiences and knowledge that they could share and pass on and help the younger individuals in that society prevent themselves from making certain mistakes or help them develop faster than they otherwise would have developed. This is why older people have historically been respected. And yes, it is great to have that knowledge and experience. And that's not going to go away with indefinite longevity. Actually, there's an excellent common saying that applies quite nicely to this. It goes like this: if youth knew, if age could. That is, the great tragedy of most human societies today is that the people who are able, because of their physical abilities, because of their levels of both physical and mental energy, to change things substantially for the better, don't know how to go about doing it. The people who do know, who have the life lessons that they need to change the state of affairs for the better, are too frail to do anything about it. And yes, some people might be able to snatch a few years from middle age to be able to really affect the state of the world for the better, but that's still not many people. Most people, by the time today that they reach a point in their careers where they're actually in control of substantial amounts of resources, have their health begin to fail, and therefore are not able to accomplish as much as their youthful selves would have wanted to accomplish. I certainly never want to be in that state, and I think both my younger and my older audiences will sympathize with me when I bring forth that proverb. So, yes, there is a reason to respect older people, but it's not because they're frail and decaying. It's because of their good attributes. It's because of what they can do and what they can teach us. And that will stay with the elimination of senescence. Imagine all of these older, wiser people having the bodies of 25-year-olds and still being able to teach us just as much or more. Because as they get even older, as they live into their triple and quadruple digits, they will accumulate even more life experiences, even better guides for those who are younger than they. So this argument doesn't hold. My second refutation concerns a claim made by some, most notably by Steve Jobs of Apple Computers, that death is needed to essentially replenish our creativity in a way by bringing fresh minds, fresh people into our society, by essentially throwing out the old, replacing it with the new, mixing things up a bit, and having people who can look at old problems from a new perspective. Now, I grant to to Mr. Jobs and others who are like-minded that having the ability to look at problems from a new perspective can be beneficial in many times. Having a diversity of people with a diversity of ages, with a diversity of backgrounds, is always very good. But if this is the case, if they are correct in asserting this, then it would follow that more diversity is better. So let's ask this question. Which situation is more diverse? When we have 3 or maybe 4 generations alive at the same time, or when we have 50 or 100 different generations alive at the same time? You see, in order to bring in the new, we do not have to take out the old. As a matter of fact, if we let the old and the new compete simultaneously, we will be able to pick the best of all worlds. And of course, human beings aren't static either. They adapt to new ideas and new economic realities. So if anybody from any generation, if there are 50 or 100 of them, has an idea that transforms the society for the better, then most people from all the other generations will adopt that idea as well. I'm sure, for instance, that Benjamin Franklin would have loved the internet, as would Thomas Jefferson. They would have thought it a great way to disseminate information and ideas. And I'm sure if Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin were alive today, they would have been on YouTube, delivering speeches, as I'm doing right now. So, in order to have a diversity of ideas and an abundance of new ways of looking at things, we do not need to kill or allow to die millions and billions of people. We just need to keep introducing new people, which will happen naturally. Some people will always have children, and if they don't have children, we can genetically engineer new human beings if that's the great concern, if we want more diversity of people from different ages and different generations. Don't need to let anybody die off. Once again, referring to my first presentation, it would have been invaluable for us to have some people around who had been alive during classical antiquity, during the Middle Ages, during the Renaissance, during the Enlightenment. Have them share their experiences, their views of how the world has changed, the lessons they have learned. The loss that we have experienced by not having these individuals around is incalculable. And it would be wonderful if we could minimize that loss in the future, if not altogether eliminate it.